Welcome to the Couch Time Podcast, where we give you tools to connect with your kids and point them to Jesus. I'm Steven, and I'm here with my good friends, Josh Lewis from the Florence campus, Aaron Barnett for the Fort Thomas campus. That's a hard thing to say. And myself at Independence. And this week, we want to come and just talk about the kickoff of student ministry is upon us. Mm-hmm. In a couple weeks, starting August 30th, we're back in business. We've been off and out of the picture for a while here at Grace, like trying to figure things out, trying to honor the Lord and submit to leadership and keep your kids safe and do what we think is wise. But we just want to share with you all as we go into this next season, one, just like where our heart's at with how to lead and love your kids, how to lead and love our leaders, how to submit to the church and submit to governments and just let you know where we're at and how you all can come alongside and partner with us in ministry as we seek to partner with you and what you can be doing for Grace students and ultimately for your kids in this next, what will be a little bit weird, a little bit confusing and hard, like everything else this year, season of life. Mm-hmm. So real quick, somebody remind us what ultimately is the mission of Grace
of
students?
The podcast is to give tools to parents.
No. Forget the podcast. The mission of Grace
students. I got that one. Since Aaron gets confused about that, I'm just kidding.
Vision, mission. I don't know what those things mean. I don't care about those things at all.
Which isn't true. All right, that's an inside joke. All right, the mission of Grace students is to be a community that connects students to Jesus and the mission of the church. So it's all about multiple people coming alongside of students. So not just you parents by yourselves, not just the church by themselves. Yeah. It's multiple people coming alongside students as a community, trying to connect them to Jesus. So whether that's the first time for salvation, whether it's growing in Christ and the mission of the church, which also means that we're supposed to live differently. We're supposed to, like Pastor Brad was saying, we're supposed to tell others about the gospel, about Jesus, about the good news.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about that mission is that mission doesn't change with circumstance. That mission doesn't change with buildings or no buildings. That mission doesn't change by country. That mission is what ultimately we think that God's word is calling us to be about and calling believers to be about all over. Yeah. And then we're specifically just targeting that at students. And I think this has been a really difficult time to do ministry, just honestly. It's been hard and there's been challenges and there's been it's a whole new navigation that we're figuring out. It's what does ministry look like? It's like a new culture we're living in, basically.
And it's crazy even to talk, we're obviously not unique because, talking with a lot of you guys remember and know and love Ryan Foltz. I would talk with him and they're having the same issues up in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, it's all over.
Yeah, everybody I talk to, it's not unique to us for sure.
And we recognize parents, this has been a difficult season for them.
My word, yes.
And we've sent out some things, praying for you all, and the different multiple hard decisions you're having to make with your kids. What you're going to do for school, what you're going to allow them to do or not allow them to do, what freedoms you'll give them or not give them, what friends they can see or not. Man, it's difficult. Yeah. And the hard thing is that it's one of those things that people that love Jesus are all making different decisions.
Yeah.
There's not anybody that's all doing the same thing. It's not like there's one right answer. There's multiple people that are very different, and I think both can be right.
Right.
Yeah. So we just we want to share with you, one, as we're going into this season, our hearts, so you will hear from us, our hearts as we're trying to make decisions, and then how can you come alongside us as we seek to do ministry at Grace. So just to give parents, a little bit of insight into our lives, what has been difficult or hard either in this past few months to do ministry, or what is a big challenge that you're thinking through as you enter into this next season? Hey, this is something that we're trying to process through, we're trying to figure out, and and we just want to be open with it as we're working through how to love their kids the best.
Yeah, I think for us at Florence, we're going through all sorts of changes, right? With me stepping in as interim over high school, and just kind of being split a little bit. That's a transition for everybody.
Yeah.
I know for the leaders, man, they did such a great job just trying to step in as soon as quarantine hit, right? They just went full on, tried to do the Zoom groups with the kids as hard as that was on everybody. Like, man, the way they just like owned it and tried to just nail that. I'm just blown away by how they did that. But I mean, just like everybody, it kind of burned them out, and so just needing this little bit of rest to get ready for what this fall could have looked like, or would look like. That's just been I've been praying for and concerned for the leaders, but also just like, man, it's just been a weird, awkward summer. We didn't have camp. We didn't all these normal things that we have had in the past. It's just like
nothing was normal.
Exactly. Yeah. And just like everything else in the world. So I think there's been a bit of that. And just even with I've been praying probably more than any other time in my life for you parents, for the students, and just knowing how helpless I feel, right? I've kind of felt a little helpless during this season, and
that's why you're calling on the one though that
exactly
is providing that help. It's all of us. I mean, parents, I'm sure, have felt helpless too.
Yeah.
And it's like we're coming to the end of ourselves because we're at the end of past experience. Normally it's like we can just rely on past experience to kind of keep carrying us through. And I think you're in a new season, we're all in a new season. And that's okay, God, you have to help me out because I don't have the knowledge to know what to do from here.
Which is honestly the best place to be.
It's a good place to be.
It's a terrible thing to move away from that, but especially if you start relying on those rhythms and systems and whatever, it can just it's not. Those things are good until they become what your foundation is.
What about you, Aaron? What's been hard, confusing, things you're figuring out?
Yeah, few and far between are the times when I'm really confident and not confused.
Yeah.
Especially during 2020. So even before that, I would say that that's pretty true. But then during quarantine, I'm very much, I'm a planner. I joked about vision earlier. It's I really care about the big picture because that helps me budget my time and know where to invest, to try to, keep myself on track. And I think the hardest part, both personally with my faith and my heart and my mind and not relying on rhythms and stuff like that to, be my confidence and my assurance of how I'm doing. But then also with my family, my marriage, my kids, and then ministry, I can't think more than 1 or 2 weeks out because stuff has just been changing so much.
Yeah.
And it's really caused a lot of anxiety and stress I've had to work through. And it's been really good, but it's just been really, really hard. So lots and lots of emotions and not being able to offload them on things other than Christ has been really good, but challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so parents, and for me, it's a lot of times we're planning and we're praying and we're making decisions. But right now during this season, it's been a lot of winging it. It's been a lot of we just have to go with it.
Parents might have thought youth pastors, they always wing it. Isn't that what they do?
Or they think that we have it all together. And ultimately it's I want you all to know it's each of these guys really, really love your kids a lot. And your leaders, your kids leaders, your volunteer leaders, they really, really love your kids. And we're seeking, to love God and love people people around us. And it's been hard. I'm used to just being with people all the time, and I can just go, and I can be with students. And when there was a long period, it's I couldn't do that. It's man, what do I do then? How how do I love kids if I can't do what I've always done? Like, am I still serving the Lord? Like, what am I figuring out? And it's like, that's been hard to wrestle with. But parents, as you've heard now, like kind of our concerns and like, it's been difficult is what we're trying to say, but we know it's been difficult for you. It's not a pity party for ourselves. It's like, but man, God's been good and he's been doing a lot of things.
He has. I've seen more fruit in the last year, in the last 6-8 months or whatever. I don't even know what year it is right now. It's like, I've seen more fruit to your point as well.
And he has a whole nother things that are coming up. And like Peter was saying a couple of weeks ago, it's like, he hasn't been surprised or thrown off. Like nothing's caught him off guard. It's like, this has all been a part of this plan. And we're about to kick off another semester of student ministry. Yeah. And there's plans and things that God's going to do in that. So how can parents, as this next season comes up with our next few minutes that we have, how can they come alongside Grace students, ultimately come alongside their kids and their leaders and us as we seek to step into ministry in this next semester?
Yeah.
I would say the best thing that I would encourage parents to do at any campus, just in our church in a whole, is the same thing I would say in regards to, your community group as adults, your church. Being committed and invested in something takes risk, and there's a cost. And you have to have your gaze fixed on something more than just the immediate through this time. Mm-hmm. And so I think God calls us to be committed and be investing. And what that looks like is you're staying connected, even though it takes more energy. And even though it's more convenient, it's not as fun, it's not as rewarding. It's like, well, the payoff isn't going to happen right now. It might happen in the future at some point, but you've got to hold on to it's not right now, it's in the future. And so parents, it's encourage your kids to do the same thing. Like, be committed, just like you with your community group. It's getting awkward because virtual, or you're meeting in person, or you're not. Like, it's just easier to we're going to take a break. Like, it's like, no, have the long game in mind and encourage
what does like
your
a
kids.
Practical commitment look like right now? It's like one thing. It's like, this is how you're
relationally, even though it's not as fun as what would be ideal to you, it's like, do it because it's an investment in the long haul. So come Lord willing, spring semester 2021, when student ministry looks different, it's like, what can your kids do now to invest relationally, even though it's not as ideal, but it will pay off in the long run. So that's what I would encourage parents to think about and talk with their kids about.
Yeah, I think the one thing I just say is pray. Again, like Stephen was saying before, all you guys are making different decisions, right? There's some who, your kids will be in different groups this fall. Some, it's like you're gonna hold off for a while. It doesn't actually matter. You can pray. You can pray that the Lord would be working in your kids. Yeah. You can be praying that whether it's through your family, through other people, just begging the Lord to work, because he's the only one who does it anyways. It doesn't actually matter if, like you were saying, we're meeting all the time and doing all these things if the Lord isn't working. Yeah. So like we said before, this isn't a surprise to him. So ask him to actually work on behalf of your kids, to either bring them to Jesus for the first time or to grow them.
Yeah, I would say God doesn't need you, Josh, Aaron, me, to change your kid's heart. He doesn't need your kid to be able to have fun relational time before youth. Right. He doesn't need your kid to necessarily be in a group every week. God is going to do what God wants to do, and he's going to change lives. And we're just doing our best to love them and be a part of that. And we want you to keep being a part of what God's doing in your kid's life. So I'd say last thing is encourage your leaders. Yeah. Encourage the volunteer leaders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, we all love encouragement. I love getting something, but it's ultimately it's encourage your volunteer leaders that are pouring out for your kids. They're having to step into difficult things. They're having to make decisions for their family. They're having to be wise, but they really, really love your students.
I mean, it's our job. They're volunteering to do it. So it's they're
sacrificing quite a bit.
They are. And they often go unappreciated, sometimes by us.
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, they would just love to hear from you and hear.
It would mean
or have your
more
kid
than
reach
you
out
know.
to them. Yeah, something to let them know as we're about to go in this new year. Be like, hey, this is what I've seen God use you in the past, and this is how I'm praying that He's going to keep using you in my kid's life.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like in this next semester.
If you don't know who your kids' leaders are, just ask us.
Yeah, send us a message.
Yep.
So, as we wrap up, as we're in and out, parents, we love you.
Yeah.
We care for you. We are praying for you. And we ultimately want to honor the Lord and pursue Him and rejoice in all that He's done. And I read this morning, there's like this little passage, and the disciples are like, dude, God, like, look at all the things. Look, Jesus, look at all the things we're doing. Like, demons even answer to us, whatever. And He's like, dude, don't rejoice in in that. Rejoice that your name's in the book of life. Like, rejoice your name's written in heaven. And so it's like, as we're exiting this season, it's like, yeah, we could rejoice in like the things in ministry and what all God's doing, but like ultimately, I'm just thankful that our name's written in the book of the life, and that's what we're praying for you and for your kids, that will be their hope. So we love you, and we will see you next week.
Peace.